All right, guys, listen, I am so very excited because today I am talking to, this is a veteran in the gospel industry. She's been around for so many years, and we've seen her starting with the group Trinitee 7's, one of the original members, and now she's on her own, making her own music, sharing her own voice. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to introduce to you guys none other than Miss Chanel. How you doing?
I'm great, Chandra. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so very much for taking time and for being with us today.
Of course. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. So Chanel, let's talk about, tell our listeners what you have been up to, what's going on with you right now in your ministry. Tell everybody what you've been up to.
I am on top of the world, and I say that because I'm the happiest I've ever been. Somebody just recently asked me, Chanel, what is your definition of success? And I said, happiness. When I'm happy, and I've never been happy. The way my music is touching people, the response that I'm getting, it just gives me chills when I think about it, because it just reminds me that I'm doing what I was born to do. And you feel so good when you know you're doing what you're supposed to do and what you're born to do. So I'm just traveling the country and spreading the news that my day is June 17th. So I'm just over the moon.
Awesome. You know, as I shared with our listeners before, we've seen you for so many years. You started with the group Trinitee 7's, and we've seen the group evolve and go through so many changes. And now we see the ladies of the group standing on your own and really sharing your own voices. How has this transition been for you personally?
You know, at first I was processing it as an artist, the transition. But the transition, I think that's more of a challenge for me, is from going from an artist to a CEO of a record label. So that's the real challenge, is becoming more involved with my business and learning the power and the importance of ownership. My dad always told me about it. He's like, that's good, you're singing all over the world, you're doing this and you're doing that. He said, what do you own? And I'm finally making my dad proud and able to say that I own my masters, I own my brand. And now I can project and put out into the world a true extension and a true representation of Chanel as a woman, as a person, as God's daughter, as a woman that's flawed, as a girl who was insecure for so many years in Trinitee 7's. I thought, I was just the talented one. I wasn't the pretty one, certainly not the pretty one. Crying behind my sunglasses, when we were in the airport, because nobody knew my personal struggle. But I am free now to, one, relate this and show my true self, and that I've embraced my life. I've embraced my challenges. I've embraced my blessings. I'm just in a really cool place right now.
So tell us about the project. Tell us about its conception. Did you do any writing? Tell us about some of the producers you worked with and what listeners can expect from this project.
This song is so near to my heart. I feel like it was just carved out of space and dropped into my life just for me. And PJ Morton produced and wrote this song. He and I, most people know him, he's a preacher's son, like I'm a preacher's daughter, but he has gone on to do incredible things. He's one of the band members of the famous Maroon 5, and he travels the world with all this talent. And I said, boy, you better call me, because I need you to create a masterpiece for me, just for me, because, I need us to go back to our childhood. I need us to go back to when it was simple and when it was raw, And so anyway, he was like, yeah, Chanel, I want to do it. He said, but my wife is out of town. I have all the kids. It's too late for me to find a babysitter. I said, dude, you just found a babysitter. Bring those children to the studio. I will play with them while you go in and create this song.
Wow.
And it was amazing. I was outside of the studio throwing the Frisbee around with the kids, and he was in there cranking it out. And when I walked in that room and heard what I heard, it gave me chills. And I hope it gives the listener not just sonically that it sounds good, but I want it to feel good. You know how there's those records that just feel good? You know, that's important to me. And so, yeah, that's what we did.
And, you know, like I said, we've seen you for so many years, but now that we get a chance to see you by yourself, kind of standing on your own and sharing your own voice, what is it that you want listeners to know about you, about Chanel, about who you are and what God has called you to do and who he's called you to be?
I don't know how this is going to come across, but I'll just be really, really frank and honest with you. I wish I knew my greatness much earlier on. This is what I mean by that. It's so easy. And I don't know who's listening to me, but I hope that you really, really capture this. You don't want to waste your time in this world wondering who you are, wondering if you're living up to the ideals of other people, when all along, your greatness, all along. And, you know, I would walk with my head down. You know, I had just carrying unnecessary burdens. And I wish I saw myself as the great person that God made me in the beginning. And we're great because we're his sons and daughters. So if I have any, you know, if I just want to shake myself, it's like, Chanel, you know, you were this precious soul all along. And so now I just embrace that, and I try to encourage other people to see their greatness and don't, it's not an ego thing. It's a fact. You're great, and you have to ensure and protect that and do everything you need to do to maintain that greatness.
You know, throughout all of your years in the industry, you guys have always been yourselves. You've been true to yourselves when it's been popular, when it's been easy for you, when it's been hard for you, when you've been rejected, when, you know, things have gone smoothly, when things have been rough. You have always been true to yourself. We've seen you guys refuse to conform to anybody else's opinion of you. Looking back on the entire span of your career, what have you learned the most about yourself, and would you do anything differently?
I want people to know, I think as gospel artists, a lot of times, and just religious leaders in general, they're perceived as having it all together. You know, they just don't sin. Somebody asked me the other day, do you sin, Chanel? And I said, first of all, let's define the word sin. Sin is simply missing the mark. I just missed the mark. I mean, and I said, you know what? I'll do that every day. I miss the mark, you know? But the really amazing thing is you just get back on track. And I like people to know that I am just, you know, a woman that's very clear on her path. I know what I want. I'm confident. I'm flawed. You know, I go and hang out with my girlfriends, have a glass of wine, listen to some jazz music when I need to get away from it all. I'll go on the lake behind my house and get on the kayak, start kayaking just so that I can feel peaceful and connected to God. I don't want people to think or see me as like this super spiritual hero with an S on my chest. No, I live a free, abundant life that is personal to me and to God. And I'm Chanel. That's just who Chanel is.
Those are definitely some words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Chanel, for sharing with our listeners today. Listen, tell everybody how they can keep up with you, social media, your schedule, your music. How can they connect with you?
Sure. Well, if you really want to connect with me, you will go out June 17th and get my record. And also, I'm on Facebook, of course. It's Chanel Rocks. And on Twitter, I am Chanel's Voice. And I am, you know, in a city near you, that's for sure, because I've been on the road for, you know, a few weeks now and will continue throughout the next few months.
All right, so we're about to take a listen to this great single. I would love it if you would set it up and introduce it to our listeners.
So to everyone out there, first of all, I love you. Thank you for all of your support. This is my newest single that's dear to my heart. It's called Repay.